9 homes have collapsed in the Atlantic last week. Powerful waves fueled by both Umberto and Imelda battered the coast. But North Carolina's Outer Banks has long been fighting a losing battle against erosion, which continues to threaten waterfront properties. That coastline has been receding for years as worsening erosion eats away at the shore. Joining us now to discuss these impacts is Reide Corbett, Executive Director of East Carolina University's Coastal Studies Institute. Reide, appreciate your time. The erosion rate has been especially intense in the Outer Banks. What's driving it? Is it just the power of tropical systems like we've seen this season with Erin, Umberto, Imelda? Or is this part of a larger long-term cycle along the East Coast?
I mean, the answer is sort of yes. I mean, certainly this is a part of a long-term cycle of rising sea level. This is a process that barrier islands go through as sea level rises. They want to sort of recede like a tank tread moving backwards. But we've also seen 6 weeks of intense storms of storm, low pressure system after low pressure system that has had little opportunity for these beaches to respond and to build back during a calmer period. And so it's a product of rising seas. It's a product of storm after storm, leading to increased erosion just in the last 6 weeks.
So you see obviously a period of more accelerated erosion when you throw a tropical system, or in this case, I mean, sometimes it's all year round, right? We have nor'easters that also bring this intense rate of erosion. You talk about the building back. Can you explain what that means a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, these beaches do go through sort of accretion versus erosion, so growing of that beach versus the receding of that beach, and it's all a product of the amount of energy in the system. Now, this is a beach, an area, Buxton, that is an area that has this long-term erosion rate of 10, 15 plus feet per year. But you will see during periods of fairly low energy, often during the summer, where you will see some growth of that beach for a short period of time before we get back into those energetic seasons like you were just talking about with tropical systems and nor'easters. And so you often get this movement of a beach back and forth, but for this area, ultimately over the longer term, it is erosion. And it's eroding at very high rates relative to other locations along the Outer Banks.
Yeah, I mean, we've watched the Outer Banks change dramatically over the course of the last 50 years. And in the case of these homes that we watched fall victim to the Atlantic, that's when those homes were built, right? How urgent is this issue?
Many of these homes were built in the 70s and 80s, and that was certainly late 70s and the 80s were a period of fairly low energy in the system generally, right? Fewer tropical systems, not as strong as storms that were impacting our coast. And so we have seen significant erosion taking place over the last several decades. But again, this is an area, and we have several of these along the Outer Banks, what we refer to as erosional hotspots. Buxton is one of them. Rodanthe is another, where we saw the 9th house fall last week. So these are areas that have significantly high long-term erosion rates that have been eroding for decades on end. If you look at an 1850 shoreline and you do the math, since 1850, on average, Buxton has been eroding at about 15 feet per year. That's a lot of erosion on an annual basis, and you're seeing the result of that today with these houses in the swash zone. It is a product of that continual erosion, and ultimately, it doesn't happen slowly over a course of a year. It happens as these events hit the coast.
Is there anything that can be done? You talk about just the vulnerability of these places and knowing that those are erosion hotspots. Does beach replenishment projects work? Seawalls? I mean, obviously these communities are looking for sustainable long-term solutions.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, long-term solutions. And unfortunately, there isn't a silver bullet in this, right? And so nourishment, if you have the ability, the economics, the fiscal ability to nourish every, in this case, 4 to 5 years, then maybe it works. But again, that's expensive. You're looking at $15 to $20 million for a 2.5 mile nourishment project in this area. And so can you manage that every 4 to 5 years? It does buy time, but we ultimately need to be doing something during that time when we put that sand on the beach. Seawalls, jetties, groins, right? So these aren't going to fix the problem long term, and they have other impacts for other areas along the Outer Banks. We need to think about how we remove these most vulnerable homes from their current property. That's the only way we're going to get out of this situation. It's not simple. I get that. These are people's homes. And so we need to figure out how to manage that and get these people in a safer location. Think about deconstruction for these areas, because the hardening of the shoreline will not fix this long term.
I mean, that's an incredible quote right there. I mean, for a lot of these folks, seeing the change is heartbreaking. There's so many of their memories that have been lost and changed over the course of the last 50 years. But knowing that, unfortunately, this is a part of the beach that is going to continue to erode, and it's just going to be perhaps, what would you say, just too costly to keep up with that process?
I think, I think where we are here in North Carolina, given some of the challenges we face with the ability to harden or not harden and what it is we're trying to protect, ultimately we need to focus on how we move out of these vulnerable areas. Not everywhere on the Outer Banks is this vulnerable. Buxton, this area in Buxton, is a location that is extremely vulnerable to erosion. It has been vulnerable to erosion since the island's been there. This is not a new process. Again, we have seen erosion rates of 10 to 15 feet per year, decade after decade after decade. And so it's not something new. And that's one thing we need to get a hold of and really understand, is that we saw this coming for many, many years. Maybe not at this rate. Maybe we didn't expect it to happen this year. But those high erosion rates are not new for this area.
All right. Well, Reide Corbett, I appreciate your time coming on. I would love to continue this conversation, but your insight is incredibly valuable. Thank you for coming on to Fox Weather today.
I appreciate it.